Nick Darr here with Big Z Media. Hope you enjoy the episodes of Business Over Brew, and pleased to have the Riverbend Growth Association as the sponsor of this program. Our missions are kind of the same. Really, we're attempting to educate people about business, foster business in the Riverbend community. The Big Z has been a member of the Growth Association forever, probably back to our inception as a company almost. We have always been members of the Growth Association, have gotten a lot of benefits from it. There's so many networking opportunities you can take advantage of. I've met so many great people just because I've been a member of the Growth Association and taken advantage of all the events that they have, plus just some of the resources they provide you, the relationships you build, just lots of great reasons to join the Growth Association. They do a lot of great things in the community as well. They highlight a different nonprofit every month. So really, they're just invested in the community here, and especially the small business community, which is what Business Over Brew is really all about, which is helping the small business community, because it's so important to any community to have a thriving business community, and the Growth Association has really helped with that. If you want more information about joining or events that might be coming up, they have events all the time that you should definitely take advantage of. I'm going to give you the website to go to. Just head to growthassociation.com. You can get a membership directory. You can see who's taking advantage of it. You can see about the events that are there, learn more about possibly becoming a member, or if you already are a member, you can find out what's going on with the Growth Association at growthassociation.com. So just again, big thank you to the Riverbend Growth Association for sponsoring Business Over Brew. Welcome to Business Over Brew. I'm your host, Nick Darr. Thanks again to our sponsors, the Riverbend Growth Association, for sponsoring this program. And thanks as always to our hosts here at the Great Rivers Tap and Grill inside the Best Western Premier. Great restaurant here, great menu, terrific service. I highly encourage you to check it out. You will not be disappointed. Pleased to be joined in this episode by a longtime local entrepreneur, Suzie Sweetman. Suzie, how are you? Thanks for coming on the show.
Wonderful.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Start with this. You've done several things in the area. Just tell us a little bit about your business journey and some of those things that you've done in the area.
Okay, well, I am right now doing CPR. I'm teaching around the area. I had found, personal training is kind of my claim to fame. So I always had to get certified every 2 years, and it was kind of a problem finding somebody to do it. There's a wonderful girl in Edwardsville that does it, so I kind of hooked up with her, and the more I was with her, she kind of served as a mentor. And then I had something happen. I've been a personal trainer for a long time and everything, and ran Nautilus for 8.5 years, boot camps, and I've never ever had to use CPR.
Right.
So I had started with Coleman Campers, and I managed 5 Diamond campgrounds. And one day, we're in my little store, and Matt and Brian, my bosses, are in there with me, and we're just talking and carrying on. And one of the shop guys comes running over, and he says, "Hey, Todd's down, Todd's down." So we all 3 went running over there, and my friend Todd had slid out of his chair and was flat on the floor. At that point in time, I can't explain to you what the panic is. It's just such a panic, even though you think you're ready, but you're never really ready. So 911 was called, and I just immediately started CPR on Todd. And I literally did exactly what I was taught to do, which was kind of amazing because I didn't panic.
Right.
I didn't. In fact, I get chills thinking about it now. I didn't panic, and I did compressions. I did not do breaths, but I did compressions. And it felt like I did it forever. I don't know how long it was until the police showed up. But I think the thing about it is, American Red Cross and even the Heart Association, they require every 2 years to do it. And I had done it probably 15 years every 2 years. And I was like everybody else, oh my gosh, we got to do this again. But I'm going to tell you what, if it comes up and you have to do it, I'm telling you, I didn't even think about it.
Right.
I just did it. And everybody should be that comfortable. And so anyway, I didn't really make the decision to teach it right away. And all of a sudden, I'm just kind of sitting around at work, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'd like to be an instructor. I think I could do good in the community and offer a service. So I've been doing it now since last November, and I love it.
It's amazing. That's a moment you'll never forget.
I'll never forget it.
I was a lifeguard as a young man and took all the classes in CPR, and my daughter was probably about 2. And I can't remember why we were in the hospital, but we were at the hospital for somebody else, sitting in the cafeteria, and she started choking on a banana, and we looked across the table, and there she was, couldn't speak. And I went over, and I hadn't utilized or taken a class in so long, but it did come back to me first, and I Heimlicked her, got it out, and it's like, wow, what a moment that you won't forget of saving someone's life. I mean,
it is. And, you know, and even I think too, if you think, obviously we all loved Todd. Todd was a great guy, a character, and we all loved him. But what if it is somebody in your family? What is it if a spouse or a child? So therefore, you have to figure that your adrenaline now is going to ramp up another 100% if it's really someone you love and care about.
Right. It's one of those things that you look at, like you said, where it's like, oh, I have to go do this, but it's something you hope you never have to use, but so valuable when you do have that knowledge.
It is, and it happens so quickly. I mean, like I said, I was at Nautilus 8.5 years. I've ran boot camp.
Right.
I actually, OSF St. Anthony's, I ran boot camp with them. I would have up to 30, 40 people in my boot camps at a time, and I never had to use it. And I end up going to work for someone who's got 13 employees, and that's when I had to use it. So it doesn't matter where you are or who, you know, you got to be ready to go. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to, and when I teach, I feel like that I try to make people feel really comfortable. I don't want them to be nervous, because I remember even going myself thinking, oh my God, what if I do it wrong? You know what? You can't do it wrong.
Right, yeah.
Can't do it wrong. If you're doing something, then that's better than nothing. And I mean, but no, the panic is what sets in. And I don't care if you're a man, woman, whatever. If you think you're the baddest person on the block, it doesn't matter. Believe you me, that gets your attention. Right,
yeah. Talk a little bit about just your entrepreneurial journey, and maybe a little bit about physical fitness and the role it's played for you too.
Well, I have done a lot of different things. When I started out as a dental technician, which a dental technician is the person that does crown and bridge. I attended Lewis and Clark 2 years for that, and it's very technical. I was able to land a job, and I managed a dental lab here in the area. I did that for 22 years. And I liked doing it, and I was able to raise my kids and flex my hours, so that worked out fantastic. But as time went on, I went through some back issues, and I'd always played softball and that. And then as you go, I joined Elaine Powers, and then I joined Nautilus, and I always loved working out. But I had hurt my back really, really bad, and I had been teaching kickboxing at Nautilus, and man, I was down and out. I couldn't even walk. So as time went on, Rich Drake, who's one of my mentors, he had said, well, Suze, why don't you just teach in a pool? You're in the pool all the time anyway. And I was like, I don't want to teach in that pool, you know? But I was so messed up, I'm like, well, maybe I would. Maybe I'd feel better if I taught. And so I started teaching in the pool, and man, I just fell in love with it. And the more I worked on it, Rich and other people say, Suze, you ought to be a trainer. You know, you just have a knack for it, and you ought to do it. So I did. I got my personal trainer's license, and I just loved personal training, because I felt like I could help people with back pain and knee pain. I'm not the type of trainer that's going to take you to a show.
Right.
I'm more the trainer's going to help you with your bad knee and things like that.
Right.
So I really,
which is probably more important.
I found it very fulfilling, and I did very well.
Right.
Nautilus went to make some changes, and I wasn't able to stay at Nautilus, and so with the advice of a lot of friends and support from a lot of my friends, I started my own business. It was called Progressive Fitness and Health, and I was over by Joe Kays. I'll give Joe a plug.
Sure, yeah.
And I started my own business, and it went very, very well. But you know, I was one of the first ones to do that. It was me and Todd Locks, and Todd was doing it in his backyard, and I was doing it here in Alton, and I had a little gym.
I think I can say friend of the show, Todd Locks. He's been on the show before, so hopefully he would consider himself a friend of the show.
Yeah.
It seems like you have the heart of an entrepreneur and maybe the heart of a teacher too. Where do you think those two things came from?
I don't know. You remember when you used to take those tests in high school, and they'd tell you, they said I should be a counselor. So I don't know. I guess it's just something inside of me. I don't baby people, though. You could ask anybody that knows me. I don't baby you.
Right. I remember a long time ago when I was new at the radio station, we did a contest called Biggest Loser, and I remember not getting babied because I had come in and not lost any weight that week, and you were on me.
Yeah,
so,
well, you got
deservedly so.
Yeah, do your very best. It's like you tell your kids, do your best, and you're doing fine.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, I've had a lot of good things happen.
What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of your career?
Oh, helping people.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly helping people, and people just appreciating the fact that you helped them. Being a personal trainer has to be one of the best jobs ever, because you get to see achievements and goals, and they feel better about themselves, or they walk better. Their back doesn't hurt anymore. That is so rewarding.
Mm-hmm. What a lot of times in life, I think most times failure is probably our biggest teacher. What are some of the biggest challenges or failures that you've experienced that have really taught you something you still take with you today?
I wouldn't say I've had any failures. Isn't that conceited? I would say I'm kind of like, I think any of my failures I've really tried to learn from. And so let's say I've had a learning experience.
Sure, yeah.
I think the hardest thing was employees, having and managing employees.
Right.
I'd had a small business with the dental lab, and I managed it, but I only had 6 employees. Then I went from having my own business, and my daughter, my son-in-law, Katie Drake, worked with me. I had great people with me, so that was easy. When I went to Nautilus Fitness Center, and you have 4,000 members with 40 employees, that was pretty overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so I went into it trying to be fair, and I think I was always fair, but as we all know, people don't think you are. So I think that was probably the hardest thing for me, because Brian, my boss, will say, Suze, everybody thinks you're so tough, but you're nothing but a little marshmallow. But so, the aspect of employees and working with different personalities and characters and trying to relate so that you can get what you need and they get what they need. That's been my biggest thing.
I think one of the things that makes it so hard is that anytime you make a decision, there's probably always going to be somebody unhappy with it.
Oh, yes.
So you have to learn how to deal with it.
It's very hard, too, because at the end of the day, I do really care about people.
Right.
You don't want to have to write anybody up or do anything. But at the end of the day, you have to make it fair. It has to be fair for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I will say, even after leaving Nautilus, I still have a lot of the people, I go to lunch with them and I'm still buds. So that makes me feel good.
I think for me, one of the struggles is too, humbling yourself a little bit to realize they're not thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are.
Very true.
You might be losing sleep over what they're thinking about you, and they've moved on. So in a lot of cases. So not taking it as personally.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, people would always say that to me. Just don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. But here's the problem. When you care really deeply about something, you care, it's kind of hard not to take it personal.
Right.
And that's my personality. I want people to do well, but you got to help yourself too, right? So, it's give or take, and that's just the way it is.
You touched on your kids and family a little bit. How do you balance the work life with the
Well, when I was
personal life?
young, I have a son, Jordan, and a daughter, Bailey. Jordan's 35, Bailey's 32. And my most important thing was my children, like most of us.
Right.
But I was able to flex my hours. And so the dental lab, the way it was a production situation, so I could go in on a Sunday morning and work 6 to noon if I had it. I would take off Wednesdays, and my husband and I were able to flex our schedules. That I spent a lot of time. I went on the field trips. I stayed home if they were sick. So I felt I didn't feel guilty. I knew they were fine. Plus, I would even take them to work with me. And so I had a great situation. By the time I had started my own business, Jordan had gone to the Marines and Bailey was going to nursing school. She got her training license and she worked with me at my business. So that was excellent. And she was a great trainer. So I just have been very fortunate in the choices that I made. I was able to balance everything and feel like I could do a good job at what I was doing because I do not like messing up. I hate it.
Yeah. I want to encourage people to sign up for CPR classes, and we'll let them know how to do that. But just last question: what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs or people maybe just getting started or thinking about going into business for themselves?
A couple different things. I think that don't be scared. Don't be afraid. You have to be a little bit afraid to accomplish your goals. But I think that people can do whatever you set your mind to. My dad was a strict person, and he would always say, Suze, there's no such word as can't. And I think that's how I've raised my kids, and I think that's how I live. There's no such word as can't. And plus, you know, your circle of friends and your networking is huge. And in Alton and Godfrey, I can't tell you how many people have helped me through the years. With everything that I've done, I've had such a great support system.
Right.
So, you know, and people care about you. They want you to do good. So I think, you know, use your friends' advice. Listen to what they tell you. Get honest answers, and don't be afraid.
Who are some of those mentors that you
mentioned?
Gosh.
Mark and Terry Darr from Federal Steel have helped me a ton.
No relation.
Yeah. Shannon and Johnny Scholler. Johnny was a lawyer here in town, and Shannon had my back through boot camps. My husband, all the crying and carrying on I've done, Brian Campbell. I mean, I could go on. OSF St. Anthony's.
Right, yeah.
They hired me to do boot camp 15 years ago. So, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Lee McRaven's been great for CPR. They're letting me teach CPR at St. Anthony's, so we're offering it as a community service. But no, I've just been blessed with so many people to help me.
As much as entrepreneurship sometimes feels like a individual journey, or you feel like you're on an island, you absolutely 100% cannot do it by yourself.
No, you cannot.
Even if you're a solopreneur.
No, you cannot.
You've got to have help from
You've got to have help
others.
and support, because believe you me, there's going to come times you're like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if you can do it. And somebody's got to stand there and say, quit your babying and come on.
Right.
So.
Right. Or a pat on the back, maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell people how can they get signed up for your classes, and let's just encourage them to do that, because you mentioned how valuable it is.
It is. It's everybody has to do it. You can just call my phone, 618-920-6816, or text me if you want. And I can I've gone to people's homes and they've bought Christmas certificates for their family. I'll go to the home, I'll go to churches, schools, wherever.
Businesses?
I can travel. Yes, I just got done at Coat Plastics today.
Awesome, yeah, great. Well, it's a great thing you're doing. You've done so many great things for our community. We really appreciate it, and thanks so much for coming on the show, and thanks for all you do. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Suzie.